The UN has a range of tools available to it when countries persistently violate international human rights standards, ranging from fairly mild rebukes up to fairly serious kinds of sanctions. The starting point often at the UN is a kind of an incremental approach, where they first say to the government, "Okay, we acknowledge you have problems. It's up to you to fix it," and they give the government the chance to do the job themselves. So that's why I think during the Universal Periodic Review of the Philippines, many governments, I think over 40, said, we're concerned that extrajudicial killings are taking place, and called upon the government itself to ensure appropriate investigations. When the Philippines came back and said, well, we deny everything and rejected recommendations as simple as ensuring appropriate investigations into these deaths, they sent a clear message that the government itself is not interested in finding out what happened or who's responsible for putting an end to the killings. And then, of course, that's all framed by President Duterte's inflammatory rhetoric, where he's quite openly saying that he's authorizing police to kill suspected drug users, that there will be impunity for these deaths, even commending them or congratulating those who are responsible for killing suspected drug users. So it's a pretty clear message to the international community that the President and the government stands in contempt of its international obligations. The message that we heard from dozens of states in response was, well, that's not enough. There needs to be investigations into these deaths. And the obvious next step, of course, is for the international community to put in place an independent investigation of its own if the government won't comply. It was significant as well that the joint statement led by Iceland on behalf of 39 states also underlined the fact that the Philippines is a member of the UN Human Rights Council. And that's a fairly clear way of saying that membership comes with responsibilities, and that the Philippines is expected to fulfill its membership responsibilities to uphold human rights standards and to cooperate with UN mechanisms, which includes, of course, the special rapporteurs.
Can the Philippines be kicked out of the Human Rights Council if they fail to address these concerns brought forward by the member states?
Yes, they can. The Human Rights Council consists of 47 member states elected by the General Assembly in New York. And there are provisions for a state to be suspended or expelled from the UN's human rights body if they persistently violate international human rights standards. It's a very rare and quite extreme measure. It's only happened once before, but it certainly is a measure that the General Assembly can take. And the fact that so many states underlined the fact that the Philippines is in violation of its membership obligations is a signal that that's one of the options available to the international community if the government persists in violating a right so basic as the right to life. In addition to that, of course, there's the option for there to be an international investigation that could be put in place. There are measures that states can take bilaterally if they feel that the Philippines is violating fundamental human rights norms. And I think we are seeing what was an expression of concern by a number of states increasing into a growing chorus of voices condemning the course that the country is on and calling for them to now cooperate to ensure that they respect their human rights obligations.